Hey everyone, and welcome to Enlightened Conversations. Today I have the pleasure of talking to Tessa Stanford, who I've been able to connect through Michelle Lightworker, and we have had a chat previous to this, and it was just awesome. It was very connected, and I'm really excited to share about Tessa's journey and what she does. And so welcome, Tessa, and thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
So Tessa, before we begin, can I just, get to know a little bit more about you and what you do? Everyone knows what you're up to.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to share. So I currently work as an emotion mindset coach for entrepreneurs, leaders, and lightworkers. So I have developed my own model around emotion mindset, which merges my psychology background with the spiritual, with the physical, with the metaphysical, to really have a whole modality that's really holistic, but drawing on a bigger view, which I just didn't find. I never really found the intervention that I really loved in my psychology career. So I didn't really find something that really spoke to me that helped myself be truly happy, but also the clients I worked with. So yeah, I've been on a bit of a journey since leaving the industry to create my own. So I now coach people in that, and I choose leaders because I know I'm here to make a big change in the world, and by being able to assist them transform their self-doubt into radical self-belief, what I call it, and really raise their self-worth vibration, they're able to make the change in the world that they really want to make. So I see that is my, one of the ways I can contribute and really, wow, eradicating self-doubt. So we actually live the lives we're here to live. Yeah.
That's amazing. And what a journey to be able to do what you do today. So I would love to know, how did you get to do this? How did you first move away from your mogul job or normal job kind of thing? I just interviewed another beautiful woman, and she called it a mogul job. I'm like, I love that. It's amazing. How did you move away from that, or what inspired you or moved you or created that change?
Look, I think it was a lifetime in the making. But it manifested in a very spontaneous decision. Actually, last March, after a Bali retreat, it seems nearly like cliche, went away and reawakened, I awakened and came back and kind of quit my jobs and was out of there. But basically before that, I'd studied psychology since out of high school, was always interested in emotion and introspection and why people do what they do, why we are the way we are, and went into the social welfare field for 8 years. So I worked with extreme trauma, complex trauma. So I worked like 5 years in child protection. Then I moved into work with asylum seekers, refugees, mental health, domestic violence. So really applying all the concepts I'd learned really around and from psychology, but I did a lot of specialized training on complex trauma, and in particular how our brain works. So it was very, very brain focused, very understanding of the central nervous system and why we react the way we do in terms of trauma, how our brain develops. So I was really interested in providing interventions and holistic interventions for people who have experienced that. However, throughout all of that time, I was never ever truly happy in my jobs or myself. Like I was always wanting something more, wanting this moreness, and I'd had that since I was a young girl. Always had this feeling that I wanted to change the world, and had no idea where that came from, back then. No one in my family is very shy, like empathetic, like would barely speak to anyone, like up until like year 10, I would barely speak, like I'd stutter, really, really shy. And, always the girl, take things to heart too much, too sensitive, I was told, stop feeling things too much, stop being, so emotional, you're too much. It was like too deep, too intense. And then also growing up in this society that says we're also not enough, right? It's like, you're too much, but you're also not enough. Like, be more, be prettier, be smarter, be this. So it's like this, who the hell am I? Like, what is going on here? And so I found myself in these psych jobs, like constantly wanting better, like for the service, for the system, for the clients, for the staff. Like always really could see that we're just going this cycle, like not only like were we supporting the most disadvantaged people of, you know, in our society, but then the staff were looking after them were burnt out, were stressed, you know, and then the managers looking after them were stressed. And I could see all these patterns. So I've always, you know, been someone to see these big patterns. And I was always then caught up in it though. And even though I felt like it wasn't right for me, I didn't know where else to go or what this like changing the world meant for me. I just like really suppressed that and suppressed, you know, my desire to be anything outside of that box, because I didn't know what else to do or be or what that looked like. And if I ever had any ideas around that, it would of course be, you know, quite squashed by other people, and, you know, I'd be called a dreamer. And, you know, if I talked about these ideas for the world I had, it would be like, that's silly, you know, this is just the way it is. You should just be happy with your job. You know, you're getting paid well and you're making an impact and you're awesome. It was like, you know, I'm like not negating that, but when you know, it's just that feeling. So towards the last few years before I left early last year, it was just that process of awakening, you know, started with physical health, you know, got the symptoms of, you know, that just stress override and eczema, gut health, you know, it got to the point, of course, it was like crisis, couldn't actually go to work because I was so sick. So of course that led me down. I often feel like that physical awakening is often, you know, the start of the spiritual awakening. You know, it's like that beautiful message from there going, this isn't working. Whatever you're doing is not working. This is not good for you. And so through that process, I learned all about, of course, our gut and our second brain in our gut, which I'd never learned about. All these years of study, all these interventions, all this work I've been doing, I'm like, kind of felt like lied to. I was like, oh my God, like there's all, like we have serotonin in our gut, like we're not taught that, like, and we have all these interventions in psych, like specifically to target our brain and all the serotonin in our brain. And there's medications developed for the serotonin in our brain. There's like nothing around our gut, right? So this was like 3-4 years ago. Like at the moment, it's quite getting out there a lot, but this was like, I came across this, 2013. So I started just questioning everything then, of course. It's just like more than ever before. Where's my food from? You know, what's organic? Where's my meat from? What's factory farming? What's, you know, everything? What am I, you know, starting with that physical self and that physical journey. And then started putting it together, you know, what I knew about the brain and then the gut, really putting it together, going, oh, I need to learn more about this. Like I don't feel like qualified to be my jobs anymore, helping people without, you know, knowing this. Like, you know, I just felt like the system already, like I was already broken. I was already like stressed all the time. And then I was like, even felt more, you know, unethical that we're providing the support to people that isn't actually addressing the needs. Like it's just all brain-based boxes, you know, diagnosis, labels. I'm like, that's not actually serving anyone. And we have all these like, you know, 10 other systems in the body, not just central nervous system. So I, you know, do what I always did and overachieved and, you know, went back to uni. I was like, well, I have to check the science of this then. I have to learn more. I'm not just going to do like a little health course online. I'm going to go back to uni, start the Bachelor of Health Science. I'm like, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to knock this out, get the science, you know. So it was like health science and nutritional medicine, chemistry, you know, anatomy, you know, straight back in there. It's like, you know, that was what I deemed was to be, you know, knowledgeable. Like that was my source of truth. I'm like, well, if I'm going to teach on this, I need to know it at the university level. And through that process, what I realized, and I kind of really swung from psych then, I was like, became a bit disillusioned and a bit like, you know, a bit lied to. I was probably a bit hurt from the industry and my study. I'm like, so all this years and it's not, just don't feel like it's true. And so went back into health. I was really into that, and even helped like my sister open organic cafe and was giving health advice. And so really like did the swing and went to uni. I was like, and thinking about all these ways I can then get in the health field. And then what I realized was that we can be eating the best foods and the most organic foods and the best nutrients, but if we're still stressed and if we haven't got our feelings under control, then the food doesn't actually, you know, matter. Our digestion isn't going to work, you know, anyway. So I was like, oh, well, not only is food medicine, feelings are medicine too. So all of a sudden, like I knew all the stuff around food and like was at, you know, at uni, like everyone's asked me about that. But then what they're coming to me for was like feelings and integrating it all together. And I was like, okay, right. So I actually do need this psych thing that, you know, I learn about. I need to like do something with them together. And at that time, I just started questioning things more. And I started getting this like real, you know, the feeling in my heart for the moreness more and more. It's like getting stronger and stronger, obviously, through this awakening process. Not like called it that back then, you know, it just looks like, you know, that you've lost your mind, right? Like it was like, you know, it was like breaking up with a boyfriend of 5 years, and it was, you know, doing this and like moving out and like going back to uni as like a 27-year-old or something. Like everyone's just like, what is she doing? Like she, you know, she should go back to uni to, you know, get a master's in psych, become registered by 30. What is all this, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm there like, you know, after leaving my ex, and like I lived in with my 80-year-old great aunt for 3 months. Like it was just like it was a nice little breakdown that I had, but like, you know, a nice little but I'd never felt more happy, you know. Everyone's probably like judging from the outside. I was like, this is great. Like I finally feel like I'm following something in here. I don't know what it is. And so that then, of course, once again, I did what I always do. I'm like, okay, what's this other thing coming through here? I haven't learned about that yet. So it's like the heart, right? Intuition. I'm like, don't even know anything about that. What's the science on that? So of course, did as much research as I could online and everything about the heart. I'm like, well, if it's real, you know, there'll be evidence-based clinical, you know, trials about it. Because, you know, if I can't see it, it's not real. You know, that's what I'd learned through all this conditioning. Like I have to see it to believe it. Otherwise, no. So it's too woo-woo, you know. So I came across Heart Math Institute, and they have incredible research around our electromagnetic field, you know, and just, you know, our aura. So all of a sudden I had this like justification of it. I was like, oh wow. And then all of a sudden all this information appeared around our three, you know, leaders, our gut, our brain, and our heart. Mm-hmm. So I was like, right. Now I need to put them all together. You know, there's so much more. And then I started like to, you know, really feeling into that more and more. So I'm still like working jobs and stuff here in psych and mental health and DV. And I also came across Brené Brown's work around this time, around like 2015, in vulnerability. And I was like, right, that is what's missing here as well. I was like, because that's about, she doesn't really teach it in the Power of Vulnerability TED Talk, which is like one of the most, you know, watched TED Talks of all. Doesn't really go into it in that, but it's, you know, I could see the patterns that to be vulnerable, we needed to understand emotion. And I could see that everyone, like globally, because we've suppressed emotion and our narrative of emotion, that we're so suppressed individually that we don't know what to do with it. And it, you know, prevents us from living outside our comfort zone. And so I could feel this for myself, of course. That's why I could see it. But then I started talking to everyone else, like, oh, everyone's like kind of going through this suppression. And, you know, they don't really know about their brain and their gut and their heart and the power of vulnerability and how to actually be vulnerable. And all my life, because I'd been so shy, all I'd wanted to do was be myself and be my true self and express my emotions. But I'd been told that wasn't okay, that I couldn't fit into society, or that was, you know, I wasn't worthy of love or, you know, acceptance if I was myself, you know, that emotionally expressive self. So all of a sudden I'm like, I've got it. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to like, that's it. I'm like declaring. I mean, I remember like the weekend, it was like end of September 2015. I'm just like, it's the first time like I spoke to the universe. Like, universe, don't know who you are, what's going on up there, but I'm like surrendering. Like I realize the stuff I don't know, stuff I need to learn, and I'm you know, I'm open, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to fulfill whatever's in my heart. I don't get it. I see some patterns and I know I can change the world, whatever that means. You know, I've known it since a girl. And so then the next 6 months were basically, you know, I was going to use the word hell then, like, I don't know if that's descriptive enough. I was still working in DV, but I'd made this pledge to be the change I want to see in the world. You know, I was like, Gandhi, I get you, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be emotionally expressive. I'm going to role model my self-worth. I'm going to put all this stuff together and show another way of being. And so I was having like massive ripple effects. Yet every month I was getting massive migraines. I've never taken more time off work before. Like, and because in the social welfare industry, it's really hard to, well, it's it's difficult to allow yourself to have time off, or we have that story, right? Because it's like so many people are relying on you, and it's just this cycle. So I was like, but I took so much time off. Like, finally I could like see the boundaries and see like this. I finally, honored myself so much and could just see my own power, that like I was getting trapped into this reality that wasn't mine in those workplaces, in that system. I'm like, one-on-one intense trauma, that's not where I'm here. That won't change the world. I see the pattern of why we get to that point. I need to actually come up here on the population level and share this framework that I've created and the way I see things. Because I could still see other gurus and looking at other like experts talking and learning from all of them, but I'm like, they still don't have in my knowledge that I have. Like, I need to share this with the world, like, and get through my own self-doubt and fear, and to do it. So basically I'm like, I need that courage that I've always wanted all my life, and I'm gonna get it. And so it was then this process of that, of I call it wild authenticity, of becoming so myself, falling in love, unconditionally loving my true self, and really realizing that, I'd spoken to the universe on that day in September and said I'd surrender. And of course it was showing up for me, starting, I was getting sicker and sicker again. I'm like, okay, I can't be in these jobs. Something needs to change. Yeah. So really tuning in and starting to tune in with that intuition and the energies, and starting to allow more of the spirit into my life. I went from like laughing at people who would, see their dead grandma, or, think the astrology was changing their mood, to being like, where's my, where are we at with the moon? Where's my lunar diary? Are we in Mercury retrograde? What's happening here? Like I went like full, and so it was interesting for people around me to like, like watch them on that journey. But anyway, it got to this point after 6 months of like migraines and like just allowing spirit in. Then I went to the Bali retreat, and I knew I even had 2 jobs at the time. So the one job before I left, like the day before I left, I was miserable. I'm like, this is obviously something not right here. I can't keep working there. And she's like, yeah. And then when I came back, I quit the other one as well. And no idea how I was going to do it, but I just knew I was out to change the world. I knew I had to transform the global narrative of emotion from weakness to strength. And it was all really centered around that when I left. But of course, still went to, and I guess, to explain what, in terms of your question and how did it happen? Like it was all of that. That's why I say it's like a lifetime in the making, but it was just like this knowing that I would never actually be truly happy until I explored what was in my heart. Like I tried everything else. I tried society's ideas of happiness and success, and really, really, like I'm an overachiever. Like I did really hard. I tried to fit in the mold. Like I tried, and I studied and I got the job and I had the boyfriend and I had the house lined up and I could have had a family. And I was like, I'm doing all these things, I had the gym membership and I did this. I'm like, none of that stuff is making me happy and healthy and deeply fulfilled like society tells me. So I'm going to have to go to, to myself and stop trusting out there. Or question more and more what's out there and keep, coming in and trusting myself, which is a natural process of my framework anyway, of that unconditional love, going, fully trust, in that. So I just got to a point going, I know I'm never going to be truly happy until I explore that, and it's going to keep showing up for me in different ways and not be in flow or get sick or whatever if I don't. So, and there's also the question of asking, like, what's the worst case scenario? Like, what's the worst case scenario of like quitting your dreams and quitting your jobs and living your dreams? And it was like, I'd probably feel vulnerable. Oh, that's funny. That thing that I'm going to change the world with, I might feel that. So worst case scenario, I know what to do in that situation, So, so I got to that point and basically from there, just went on a massive catfight journey with spirituality even more. I was like, I know the universe, I'm cool with that. And then all of a sudden it was just all the information, that shows up at the right time that, we know so well now. But back then it was like, what is this? Like getting videos about the multiverse, for example, and different things. And like, I was like ungrounded for 3 days. I'm like, the multiverse. I just got comfortable talking to the universe. So it was like, I was resisted it all the way. It was like really quite hilarious looking back, like how much I fully resisted it. But it got me to this point where I know myself so deeply, understand myself so deeply, accept myself so deeply, accept, and because of that unconditional love for myself, it vibrates out to the world. And that is my healing mechanism with my coaching. Like it's a lot of the bringing all of that together and talk based and journal and everything. But I know at the core of it is me being able to support people unconditionally, love people unconditionally, hold that space of non-judgment, because I've done the work to not judge myself. That deep work. We can't fully have that externally until we, fully do it on ourselves and get to that point where we are just in full acceptance and know that we can create our reality and know that we have a deep, deep power, that we're so much more empowered than we ever thought that we were. And for me, my work is all around, solar plexus, really evoking that in people, the soul purpose and transitioning from the disempowered state, victim kind of consciousness, to the empowered, that we create everything. So it is very, I'm known as like the spiritual teacher now. So it still like cracks me up, right? I'm like, I'm that girl now. Yeah, well, it's been a journey to get here. Let me tell you that right now. And I think the journey is the beautiful thing, right? And that's the thing I love to share, because I know other people are resisting it also. Because we're stuck in that science truth, and that's truth. And so it's actually limiting our expression of ourselves, and for us to experience true happiness in this lifetime. Like, I've never ever been happier. I've never felt more peace, and I get to show up every day and create the change I get want to see in the world. And that's what I got down to. I'm like, Gandhi, I love you, but being the change I want to see in the world was actually not enough. Like, I had to quit the job to create it. I want to embody it and then teach it to others. Like, I knew I wouldn't be happy till I was teaching wild authenticity to other people and helping with that, this global shift in human consciousness. I had to be part of that. I just knew I was here for that. And, and then of course, really stepping into that light worker role and that spiritual teaching role, and knowing that that's, I'm sure, was my path and destiny all along. And this is just the fun journey to get here. And, that allows me to learn all these lessons so I can then share that with others.
And that's a gorgeous story, and thank you so much for sharing, because there's so much insight in that. And I really can connect with so many things that you're saying, and it's amazing how we can look back on our journey and go, yeah, that was crazy, that was interesting, that and look from where I was to where I'm now. And
yes,
it's funny the people we have on our journey with us, and within our lives, and they've seen us from then, and who's still in your life, who's, you've moved away from, and who's still loving you for you, even though you're that woo-woo different spiritual person. You've totally vibrated and totally changed and morphed into yourself. So I think we live our life living what other people want us to be, living in a mask, living with so many limiting beliefs and all that stuff, as you know. And that when we come to ourselves, like, we're not morphing into this magical being. We shed all that crap and we just come home, isn't it? It's not.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Come to our true self. Yeah. And so that's what I realized. Like, I thought I was out to change the world with emotion. I'm like, it's not just emotion we're suppressed in, we're fully suppressed in spirituality. Like, and it's like, well, what other elements of self are there, and what is a model for ourself? Like, so now I speak about, the true self revolution that I'm beginning. It's like, there's like, if we look at a condensed kind of chakra version, if we go physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and energetic, it's like, how much of that do we actually know about ourselves? What is suppressed, and what narratives do we hear about each element? And so we have all this suppression around each one. And when we're younger, that's like what you're tapping into, like that true self. That's us, our wholeness. We come in unconditional love, and then we, like, over the years, build up all these layers and protective mechanisms, and just, we call them like layers of untruth. Like, we have to like unstitch the layers of untruth and just get back to who we are and our true self. And this this endeavor of mine, this mission of mine to eradicate self-doubt then is like we're looking at, well, who is ourself? And it's like we have doubt about ourselves because we don't know like we are.
Yeah.
It's like we don't have a framework, a societal framework, as you know, a framework for our species of humanity to fully understand, you know, perceive, experience, and express our true self. So of course we grow up confused and going through all, you know, this amnesia for I think a lot longer than we need to, and just like have to uncover all this stuff. And it's like if we had a framework that actually supported our natural growth and understanding of self, and supported our true self from when we're younger, and help people right now who are feeling in pain and not thriving, help them understand it and peel back the layers, then that's going to change the world really quickly. If we start, understanding, you know, coming to true self and having a revolution in that. So I call myself emotion mindset coach because I obviously work one-on-one, but on all my business cards and everything, it's true self revolutionist, because I know that is the bigger picture. That is my bigger message and legacy, that, you know, changing our perception expression of our true self so we can fully be the magical, powerful, you know, empowered beings that we're here for, you know, here to be.
That's amazing. Gorgeous. I just, you know, sometimes I just want to stop and just like take that all in and just, you know, think through, but I can't. Like, it's a conversation. So, but at least I get to watch it back.
Yeah, you do. That is special. Yeah. That's the cool thing about having them recorded, right? This is like the stuff I talk about just all the time. So it's like so cool to have these opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. And that we get to share this with so many other people who get to, I think the space of Enlightened Conversations gives a space for healing, connecting, you know, nurturing, loving. People who come and listen to this will feel that as well. I think, you know what I mean? They get what they need to get from these. And they get to connect with people who they might not have connected with before. So, you know, if they connect with you, imagine their journey with you and what they can get. And it's just so exciting for this space to take place and to hear your love and passion and dedication, not only to yourself, but to the human mass, you know, to society, to that collective. It's just so inspiring. And I guess it comes back like that passion. How did you allow that passion to be so big in yourself that even when you doubted that it might be something, you know what I mean? Because we go through that up and downs.
Oh yeah.
How did you allow that to pull you through to be where you are today?
Great question. Yeah, look, the first thing that comes to mind was when I first started really exploring this concept, when I guess I did come up around some doubts a few months after a couple months after probably I quit my jobs. You know, it was just on like adrenaline passion for that long time, and then I was trying to like create this business and it wasn't working because I was trying to kind of fit the mold of then entrepreneur after having no experience of that, trying to like fit the box of all my psych knowledge into a coaching model and watching webinars and like getting lost in just that world. And I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. And all of a sudden, like my big message was just like, what is the point? Like, hold on, did I just make this up? Like, was everyone right when I left? Like, so totally felt that self-doubt. And I guess what helped me with that, and I had, I've always kind of paid for mentors along the way as well. Like I always just, even during my psych career, would always, have external supervision. Like I just think it's imperative to have that support. But so I had, and it's funny that the mentor I chose when I left Sydney for my business was actually a very, very spiritually connected woman. So our coaching was more like spiritual coaching, which I would have never, consciously chosen, but clearly that's what I needed at the time. Right. And so, I really journeyed this concept with her around like, what's the point of all this? Like, does it even matter what I do? Like, if I'm so connected with this vision and this soul purpose, like, what if I don't do it? Like, what's really going to happen anyway? So it was just like, it's going from this duality of this, like, everything you do is so vitally important. And then it's also nothing at all. and just really playing in that and being and accepting that, and I actually still write in my journal like most mornings now, like when I do my I am statements, I am everything, I'm nothing. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's that beautiful duality and that acknowledging the ego and the spirit, and and that we there is, as I got to the point in that part I was saying, was that like I was so big on my message and so passionate about the world feeling that I was like, I don't even care if no one knows about me. Like, I just need to do whatever I can to get this message out. And what she really helped me with, and what I really know now, is that for our soul's work and for our message, and particularly for mine around vulnerability, she's like, you are we need to see you, like you need to be that messenger, like we need to see you for that, and it's like me role modeling and walking my talk around wild authenticity and vulnerability and emotional expression and understanding myself deeply. Like, that's people without me even teaching anything. That's always like been transformative. Like, people always just commenting on that, just being in my presence, or just just watching me be the way I am. Like, it gives, it's like when we live our light, indirectly gives permission to live their light, for people to be themselves. So I've always had that feedback. So she's like, you have to you're the one to deliver this message. So then it was just being really, just really growing, so much in that, and going, there's it is my journey, my responsibility to step up here, and that there's passion, but there's also it's for my own spiritual growth, my own soul growth. I've chosen this to obviously grow in many areas, not just to help society, humanity and earth, but for my own expression and, for me. So it's also this going, well, let's have fun with it, like, let's give back to humanity and do everything we can to achieve the soul mission, and also honor the human experience, and know that, and honor the physical experience and the funness of it. At the end of the day, we have these big messages and can get so deep and intense all the time, but we also just want to have fun, right? I think we come here to have this awful time. Like, it's come here and do your work and do your soul's work and raise consciousness, but have a good time while doing it. Like, have fun and laugh and joy, and of course there are those heightened states of emotion, the bliss, the gratitude, the that we can get to, or vibrate highly, which we need to get to have the mission anyway, to attract what we need to attract. And to be honest, the thing that also helped so much in that time, for those next couple of months after, was me stumbling across the movie Finding Joe. Have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
So it's all about Joseph Campbell's life's work, mythologist and American scholar, who mapped out basically this unconscious collective human template within us all, which he calls the hero's journey. So it was that, and so there's a beautiful documentary on it with people explaining it and and kind of dissecting it. And that because of course I like deeper patterns and I can see patterns with everything, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, this is an archetype. And I knew about archetypes through Carl Jung, who's a leading, psychoanalyst from the 50s, who's, stuff, not surprisingly, is coming back in now because we're merging science and spirit, right? He was all about science and spirit and astrology and, but anyway, so hero's journey is maps onto archetype, an archetype that we all have within us, all of us. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden I'm like, if we all have that within us, imagine if we all knew that. Imagine if we all knew that pathway and then knew what to expect, like, and then we're able to communicate with others like that. And so, for example, the hero's journey is used in most movies. So like Star Wars, Wizard of Oz, like, it's all this hero's journey. So it's like, they're just like two like big ones, but like Lion King, like lots of movies. It's all like, have the someone for, in the normal kind of safe world, and realize they're not truly happy or need to go on this adventure, get this call to adventure to explore more. They go on their big adventure. Usually a mentor appears. Like, it's ridiculous how like this plays out like for us, like, and it's like, no, I'm different. It's like, no, we're not. It's the same. Like, we're all souls, we're all humans. Like, it's the same. And then we get, you know, we go through some obstacles, some trials, and then we get to the dragon, you know, the big scary fight, or the duel, you know, the dueling, that, you know, and all it is, you know, and it can sometimes be represented in movies as a dragon, like as something big and scary. But what it comes down to at the end of the day is that we're dueling ourself. It's always ourself. So it's just this beautiful symbolism for our inner demons, you know. So it's like at the end of the day, we're just at war with ourselves. So until we have that fight and understand that and surrender to that. So that was a big thing. Often we're in that place for like a long time, just fighting and like resisting. And we have to actually surrender to the death of ourselves, basically. We have to like surrender to reinventing ourselves again and again and again, you know. So it's like that concept of life and death in every moment. And we transition, you know, through that. We duel the dragon, we acknowledge our own gifts, and we you know, we take this big gift away from it. It's usually like trust in self. It's usually that coming home. It's like, oh, I've got all the answers in me all along, you know. And then we're like, okay, time to go home. And we go back home, you know, and we move from like this unknown territory into the known land again, back where we came from. And so this is then, you know, dictated by us coming back and teaching what we learned. We all want to share our journey, you know. We become this teacher, and it could be in some stories, and some people it's, you know, it might just be sharing that with your family. It's, you know, it might be around a campfire, as often like dictated in campfire, sharing these stories. Or we come back and especially entrepreneurs, right, come on this journey and go, cool, I'm going to make a business in this. I'm going to teach other people. And so that's how my work started with entrepreneurs, because I'm like, I can see what you're doing here. You're actually mapping onto that. And all that's stopping you is your self-doubt. Like you still have this self-doubt and not full believing in yourself, this courage, because of all the taboo of society. So I was like, cool, that idea you have, that's going to change the world. I'm like, let me just help you with that, you know, that little self-doubt, you know, that you got going on there, so you can actually put your plan into action and, you know, start becoming, you know, creating the change in the world you want to see. So yeah, that really helped me. Once I just realized that, I was like, oh, of course there's going to be ups and downs on the way to the journey. Like that's the journey, and that, you know, and just acknowledging. It was so nice to have a template of where I was going, I'm not at teacher mode. Like I'm trying to create businesses and teach. And it doesn't mean we can't teach along the way, but just really knowing, it was like then the surrendering, going, oh, there's more for me to learn, you know. So then I evolved very, very quickly last year because I surrendered, and like for 6 months basically had this intense kind of spiritual internship, I felt, you know, because I was just like, and open to it, going, yeah, I'm open to self-evolution. And that's obviously what I'm, you know, just could trust that that's, you know, feel that's what was my journey. So then just became fully open to it and understood the patterns that were merging spirit with science, and going, cool, I'm grateful for everything I've learned in science, and grateful for my, you know, that I love the hell out of science, and, you know, and now I get to merge that with spirit and really be able to provide a massive, you know, overarching framework, which from deep down always I've wanted to, you know. Obviously that's why I was never happy with where I was, and always tearing down, you know, classic like tearing down systems girl, like, you know, busting systems, tearing down systems, and that's how I feel with exactly where I'm at now. Like I love, you know, impacting people one-on-one, but what my big vision is just to tear down the system, the taboo, you know, and create the framework around being a true self, so that we actually, just that is the new normal, you know, that courage is mainstream, following your heart is mainstream, it's not taboo. So yeah.
Amazing. It's such a big shift that has to be made in society, because like they're holding on with their teeth, aren't they, you know, to keep this the way that it was.
Yeah.
It's no longer representative of who we are. We have evolved, and it's in our school systems, it's in our healthcare systems, it's all that.
Yes.
The whole mainstream mentality, you know, it's so limiting for our evolution. And it's people like you who are going to bring this awakening and the awareness for so many more people, to bring their knowledge, bring their wisdom, let their inner light shine, so they too can create that ripple effect and that change, and say that old is not normal.
Yeah.
It's not right.
Exactly.
You know, this is the new normal. I call myself unnormal. I like being unnormal, because right now the normal is shit. So
exactly, that's the thing, right? It's like, yeah, is that serving us?
Mm-hmm.
The old paradigms. It's like, that's what I say to people. I said, I'm not judging you if you don't want to come along on
Yeah.
this journey. I just invite you to ask yourself, like, is it serving you? You know,
Yeah,
are
definitely.
you your happiest? Because that's all I want for you, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
experience that happiness. So, and just leave it with them, you know, and that's then, you know, and then you just need to embody your truth and act it, don't you? And the right, well, not the right people, but people will come when they're ready and ask questions when they're ready,
Mm-hmm.
um and yeah, and trust in that, and ask themselves the questions, right? That's when it gets important, you know, that is that paradigm serving them, is the normal is that working for them, you know? And it's going to become a lot easier when when we're having these conversations more and go, hey, but I get it, I didn't want to change either, it's
Yeah.
scary. It's not fun,
Yeah.
you know, it's not this
Uh-huh.
journey of like rainbows and butterflies, you know, to
Uh-huh.
awakening. It's like, it's the matrix, right? It's like, can we go back, you know? But you can't, you know, and you never want to. So, and I would love to make this process so much more known and so less taboo, so it is fun, like it is that
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, you know, awakening. It's like other like cultures, that, you know, when someone, you know, might be displaying, you know, say what we would call schizophrenia here, or hearing voices, even, you know, in the early teens or whatever, late teens, that they understand in those cultures that is, you know, they're getting their powers through, that they're able to
Mm-hmm.
access this wisdom and the intuition and, you know, third eye and crown chakras, and they're then like taken, like, you know, beautifully like nurtured, you know, to the shaman of the town, to the spiritual mentor, and like honored and revered for, you know, for their gifts, you know. And then we come here, we're like, yes, depression with psychotic symptoms, yes,
Mm-hmm.
have these tablets and be
Yes.
dull and numb for the rest of your life. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it's there's lots to change, and but as you said, I really liked what you said around evolution, because I always say this, because I say I change you know, I'm changing the world, and but I'm also very, very aware that the world is already changing. The world is going to change without me,
Yeah.
you know, without us, it's already going to
Mm-hmm.
change. But what is happening with those systems in place is that it's stunting our evolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what, when we can just pull the roof, literally, and burn down the house, burn down the box, you know, um, wave at the lines, you know, raise the lines of those narratives, you know, all we're doing is just allowing people to evolve. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
it, allowing the planet to then evolve just from from taking down the stuff that's suppressing us. That's all it's about, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And what you've shared I think what you've given, like people who are going to be watching this, you know, they're going to be again on different parts of their journey. And, you know, they just need to know to trust, to surrender, to give faith to themselves and to who's supporting them. But like, especially with the work that you do, for people who need facts, you've done all that side of things. Now you can give them the real life experience and help them
Mhm.
connect to their intuition and their
Mm.
authentic self.
Yes,
So
yes.
how do people do that? How do they connect with you? Because
Mm.
you have so much amazingness and qualities, and you're so truthful and honest about it. You know what I mean? It's so real. It's not this airy fairy, I think, which we've got stuck in spirituality. Is like, oh, we all one, we all love each other, and it's just beautiful all the time. We're real people. We have
Yeah,
shit going
yeah,
on in our lives,
yeah,
drama. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just who we are.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if people want to connect with you, how do they do that? And what programs and what do you run? Like, you know, share everything that you do with me and others.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for asking. Yeah, so uh, the first port of call is actually my Facebook. So I do most of my expressing on there. So my personal and my business page. So my personal is Tessa Alexa, Alexa, and my business is Tessa Alexa Stanford. So I guess, as I mentioned earlier, like the biggest thing I've always known and you know, continue learning is just me expressing me and showing up as me changes people literally, you know, have been messaging me for over 18 months since I started doing this without making a business out of it, just going, thank you for that post, or expressing that, or just being you. It's literally changing my life and helping me be me. So So the first point of call is, like getting into that, because I express a lot there, just and show up there to share that. And there'll be different avenues for that, coming up in terms of me outgrowing that Facebook page as well. But that's a really great place to start. I do one-on-one coaching, really, as I said, targeted at leaders and entrepreneurs and light workers. So really people who are ready to do the inner work, so that the outer life is reflective of that, and really activating that solar plexus, so our soul purpose and what we're truly here for. And this is the thing, and this is obviously why I started with emotion, is that our emotional body and our spiritual body are connected. So we can't fully access that power of that spiritual realm and our spiritual power and connection until we unlock our emotions. And so that's why so many of us are so stuck, because we have this suppressed emotion, and we don't even know how to trust our physical feelings. We're like, and trust ourselves on that level. So we then don't know how to relate that to trusting the metaphysical, the things we can't see. So the work I do in that emotion mindset coaching is really taking people on that journey to kind of unlock that suppressed emotion, understand emotion differently, create a whole new narrative around emotion and their brain. So a lot of us also have these kind of ways that we talk to our brain that's really quite nasty to ourselves. So we talk about this inner critic, this voice, this mean girl, and it's actually, that voice is us. So whenever we say that, we're rejecting part of us. So a lot of the work I do is around our narratives. So, and knowing that our brain, understanding what our brain's purpose is in terms of survival, and then integrating that with our heart and looking at, of course, our gut health. And we have other leaders in our team as well, obviously our masculine and feminine energy. So I really kind of take people through. It's literally a whole new paradigm. Like my clients, I remember it's happened like a couple of times now, like they read my readings or just during sessions and they're crying. They're like, it's like you've created this whole new language. And I just, oh my God, like I'm finally I get me and I understand and I get the world. So it is this deep sense of awakening, but it's like different terms than ever before. Like I wrote in a post a while ago, like some people, create pictures and works of art or cooking, architecture. I'm like, I create ways of being. I create like a new way to exist, in this human framework. And that is how I create. So it's knowing, that we're all creative. It's just knowing how, what that looks like for everyone. So one-on-one coaching. So you can access that through, reach out to me, via there, because I don't actually take a lot of people on. So my website's under development at the moment, so it will just be a process of reaching out through there. And that's really for people who not only want to do the inner work, but they want to do it to show up in the world, to live their light and to make businesses, conscious businesses out of their passion. So that's what I'm super passionate and who I target there. So people are creating the change they want to see in the world. So it's that ripple effect. So I only work with a few people at a time, because once again, it's one-on-one work. So even though there's ripple effect there, I know I'm here to massively change the world. So I've recently changed and added in some really cool things. And one actually will be launched this week. So people can look for this after this gets viewed, but it's called Warriors of the New Dawn, the Lightworker Mastermind. Wow. And I'm like super, super excited, super inspired by it. Because I've been loving my coaching and developing the models and seeing all the results and seeing the results with multiple of people. I have mums, I have millennials, I have boys, I have girls. So it's like really cool to see that. But then, so now I've got that clarity, being able to put all my trainings into a mastermind group, it's going to be facilitated in a private Facebook group, because this is literally how I've built my business and been able to make the change in the world. So grateful for Facebook. So it's a mastermind on Facebook for people who identify as light workers, or who want to be the light, lead, new generation leaders who are really ready to break down the paradigms and step up. And so what it allows me to do is show up as myself. So they're getting all that content, because I have outgrown the stuff I talk about, as you can imagine. I have outgrown my personal page, and it's just having a responsibility that, the people on my page, respect them all where they're at, and that there's different levels of the journey that they're at. So this group, the Warriors of the New Dawn, is just beautifully targeted to those people who are so ready, you know, to be the light, you know. And I have, you know, people just coming to me all the time now, so ready for it. Like they're self-aware, they're emotionally, they're spiritually aware, but for some reason they know that they're still not creating the full reality that they want. You know, they know that they create it. But it's like, well, if I create it, why have I still got money problems? Or why am I not fully showing up? Like, you know, and because when you're that connected, especially with your spiritual purpose as well, it's like, oh, you know, many of these people, like, I know I'm here to impact many people, or speak on, you know, stages of millions, or, you know, but they can't fully access that because of the blockage of emotions, you know, and our narratives. You know, we have 50,000 thoughts a day. So if we're not aware of the limiting beliefs and the core beliefs that were developed in those first few years of childhood, that's the stuff that just runs in subconscious, right? So that's why I'm so grateful for, of course, my psych degree and my science and understanding the brain so well, because that's, you know, such a point of difference. You know, self-worth is reflected in every area of our life. So it's not something that's really well understood. Like, you Google self-worth and it doesn't explain it. Like, there's a bit of self-esteem, bit of self of this, and it's not actually honoring it and really, you know, explaining it, which of course then, no surprise, we're still very, you know, we have, you know, disempowered self-worth. So this group is an opportunity for me to serve more people, you know. So it's not one-on-one, it's able to share my message, it's able me just to be me, but it's also masterclasses every week. It's Q&A, live Q&A, and then there's bonus webinars as well, depending on the foundational membership, and just lots of bonus stuff, a back-end membership site to have it all recorded, so lifetime access. So it's really going, you know, it's tearing down personal development industry as well in a way, or, you know, developing a new way of, you know, doing it. It's like, you know, you go to a 3-day workshop and then, like, there's still the stage of like knowing to embodying, right? It's like, how much were we paid for all these like seminars and training before and not fully actually embodied it? And then I'm like, I've got enough hex debt for all of us. I've had enough of personal development. You know, let's come in. Like, I want to, you know, my soul wants to provide you this accessible and affordable way to access all my teachings and learnings, where I can also be me and show up and sharing this stuff and have people learn from that, but also in a very, it's that balance of science and spirit, right? Of the teaching and the emotion, and also, and, you know, me being teacher and me just being student of life and vulnerability. So that's why people learn and get it, because it's like, oh, you know so much, but you're also just real and you just let yourself be vulnerable. I'm like, yeah, that's the best thing. Like, what if we all do that? Like, we go, awesome, this is my like passion, I'm going to teach you here, like, I'm really good at this, own our worth there, and go, but, you know, I'm not, you know, over here, I'm just a student in life, I'm just having fun, and I'm going to get this mentor and this and that mentor and this, just to, you know, become my truest self and someone who's going to provoke me to be me. So yeah, so Warriors of the New Dawn, look out for that on my pages. That will be the best way to access me at an affordable, accessible rate, and share my passion, wisdom, and life with everyone.
Awesome. Wow, amazing work, amazing things coming out. People need to, or not need to, but if they want to, I hope that they connect with you, because you will allow so much evolution, change, connection, confidence in so many people. So thank you so much, Tessa, for joining me today, for turning up and just being the amazing you that you are. And I have loved every minute of it. You've inspired me. You've just been amazing. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. You're so welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me and holding this beautiful space and allowing yourself to be inspired and inspiring others with this and me and holding that. So thank you. I so appreciate it.
Wonderful. All right, well, you have a wonderful time, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And, you know, again, get in contact with us if you want to find out more information, and look to for our Q&A that will be coming up later. Thanks everyone.